Good afternoon. You're still listening to the Chronicle on Riot Radio. I'm your sports host, Michael Welsh. With second semester in full swing, many Lords and Ridgebacks teams are hitting the home stretch of their season and have their sights set on playoffs. Tonight, UOIT men's hockey team will be at Ryerson to take on the first place Rams. The Ridgebacks sit comfortably in the playoffs but can shoot up the standings by stringing together a few wins to close the season. On Friday night, the women's team will take on the Rams as well, also on the road. UOIT has lost 4 in a row and will look to finish the season on a high note. The Ridgebacks men's and women's curling teams are preparing to host their first ever provincial championship tournament in a few weeks. Last weekend, the teams were at the Brock Invitational, where they both posted 2-2 records. The OUA championships will be at the Oshawa Golf and Curling Club starting February 16th. In Lords basketball, the men and women lost both games of Tuesday night's doubleheader versus Seneca. The women sit in second place in the East. Seneca's win moves them 2 points behind the Lords with a game in hand. The girls don't play again until next Friday. The Lords men's basketball team is in the midst of a 3-game OCAA losing streak, along with going winless at the GBC New Year's Classic early in January. Tonight, we have the Lords men's and women's volleyball teams taking the court at home versus Georgian. The women will try to continue their undefeated regular season. They sit 6 points ahead of second place Algonquin heading into tonight. The men are having an equally impressive season. They have rode their 8-game win streak to a 12-1 record. We will have more on the games a little later, but first, joining us from the men's team is Mike Harper. Thank you for joining us today, Mike.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so it's been a pretty great season for the team so far. A win tonight pulls you into a tie with Georgian for first place. Any extra intensity heading into tonight's game, or do you prepare for it just like any other match?
You pretty much prepare for it the same as any other match. We're 1-1 on the season. That beat us last semester, and we beat them in the Niagara Invitational to win the tournament in January. So it's kind of a rivalry there, and we're both the top East team, so it's a little bit different of a game this time.
So it's pretty impressive to see the women's and men's team both having so much success. You spend a lot of time with them. You play almost every match is a doubleheader. Do you guys feel that one team being successful really helps fuel the other one?
Yeah, I kind of feel like it kind of pushes each other. Like if they win, then they want us to win as well. And we were previously in Ottawa this last weekend, and they wanted us to win quickly so we could go home and get on the road because it's a long drive. But yeah, them winning kind of pushes us to win because we don't want we want them to do well, but we want both of us to do well at the same time.
Coming off a successful season last year, there were some pretty high hopes for the team this season. Have you guys used all that to kind of fuel your season, or is that just outside noise?
We use it a little bit by recruiting wise. Like we have a couple vets from other teams that we recruited this year, kind of friends of players, but we brought them in just because we found out last year that we didn't have enough to compete with the West teams at that level. But so we brought some other recruits in this year that we have competed with them in preseason and tournament play.
And as a fifth-year player, is there a little extra motivation to maybe win that championship this year, knowing you're not going to have another chance?
Yeah, for sure. There's a couple, like me and Braden Rogers and John Pham, our setter. We are all as our last year, so we want to do something big. I've been here for 5 years, and the best we've finished is 5th, so anything better than that. Obviously, we want a gold and go to nationals. It's a little challenging this year with them being in Ontario, so there's only one bye, but we're really going towards that OCA medal first and then a national medal.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming in today. Good luck at the match tonight and going forward the rest of the season.
Thank you for having me.
All right, take care. And if you're heading to the game tonight, you're going to notice something different. Instead of your typical cheers, there will be banging on pots and pans. This initiative was started by the Trojan Outreach Program 3 years ago. It's called Make Some Noise for Mental Health, and it aims to break stigma surrounding mental health and instead create awareness. Chris Cameron and Scott Dennis from the DC Athletics Department came up with the pots and pans idea when they saw it at another school. Dennis says he hopes the noise generated at the event will push people to learn more about mental health.
Yeah, I hope they just do some more research on mental health issues. Everybody should be educated on it.
The women's match starts at 6 and the men's at 8. Time now to take a look at Durham and UOIT's Athletes of the Week. Each week, the schools recognize 2 athletes each who displayed strong performances the prior week. Lindsay Panchan and Eric Jansen were honored this week by the Lords. Panchan continues to be a dominant force in women's basketball this season. She recorded double-doubles in both of Durham's wins last week. Panchan's strong play continued into this week, where she dropped 23 points in a loss to Seneca. Jansen's play last week continued his climb into the Lord's record book. A match-high 14 kills on Saturday moved him into a tie for 6th place in Lord's history. He also had 8 kills Friday against Algonquin. UOIT recognized 2 of their hockey players as athletes of the week. Cassie Charette kept the Ridgebacks women's team in both of their games last week. Her strong play between the pipes forced both games into overtime. UOIT's offense was not able to come through in either game as they went on to lose both. Jeff Brathwaite had a 2-point game, including the game-winning goal against Nipissing on Sunday. The defenseman's big game helped the Ridgebacks pick up 2 big points on the road. Coming up in next week's The Chronicle newspaper sports section, Travis Fortnum's story on a professional 3-on-3 hockey league that was in Oshawa recently. First-year Chronicle reporter Chanel Summers has a full recap of UOIT women's hockey Bell Let's Talk game. The weekly editorial is by Logan Caswell, Barbara Howe, and myself. We tell you why Oshawa deserves to host next year's 100th Memorial Cup. The Chronicle will hit stands next Tuesday. The Oshawa Generals remain in first place in the Eastern Conference with a 1-point cushion on second place Peterborough. The fact that Generals play in a weak conference is a major reason they are in a strong position. Oshawa's 55 points would put them in 7th place in the West. The future of this season remains in question for the Gens. In early January, they traded their top 2 players to help their chances of hosting next year's Memorial Cup. The team has not been as dominant since the trade, but they have remained competitive. Oshawa is back in action tomorrow night at Guelph. They're back home on Sunday to play London. As always, there is special pricing for students. That's all for Chronicle Sports today. Entertainment is coming up, but first, former CBC Q host Shad with his track Rose Garden.